Once upon a time, there lived a king and queen who could not have children. The queen ran out of the palace to an old well where she wept, and an old beggar woman came near. "My queen, why do you weep?" she asked. "I cannot have any children," replied the queen. The beggar woman was touched by the queen's sorrow and took pity on her. "Listen to me," she started. "Take these seeds and plant them in the royal garden. Put a cup over it, and in the morning you will have 2 flowers, a red one and a white one. If you eat the red flower, you will have strong children. If you eat the white flower, you will have wise children. But I warn you, Your Majesty, do not eat both." The queen did as she said, and sure enough, in the morning there was a red flower and a white flower. She couldn't recall the last instruction, however, and thus, overeager, ate both flowers. The queen miraculously conceived soon after, and 9 months later she was in labor. The kingdom had been celebrating the coming heir. But what was born was a hideous, disgusting, and horrifying Lindworm infant, half man, half snake. The child hissed aggressively and slithered away into the forest. However, there was a second child born that day. And that baby was a perfect, lovely, handsome little prince. The king and queen raised him and decided to forget about their first child. Years and years go by, and the young prince is now old enough to be married. The king set out himself to the neighboring kingdom to ask for their princess's hand for his son. On the way to the other kingdom, he was ambushed by a now grown Prince Lindworm. "Father, I'm the elder child. Why should my younger brother be married before me?" he asked. The king contemplated this and decided Prince Lindworm was right. And so, when he made it to the castle and asked their princess to marry his son, he did not specify which one. The princess, envisioning the younger twin, happily agreed. On her wedding day, the princess walked down the aisle and noticed the wedding guests were looking nervous about something. When she got to the altar and looked beside her, she did not see the handsome prince she'd been dreaming of, but instead, the large and fearsome Prince Lindworm. The princess shrieked, and Prince Lindworm, offended, ate her up right there. The king then continued his search for a bride for his younger son, but Prince Lindworm ambushed him again, claiming that the last one did not count, as she did not say her vows. So the king goes on to the next kingdom, once again not specifying when asking their princess to marry his son, and she agrees. That princess, like the one before her, is terrified of Prince Lindworm, and he gobbles her up as well. This goes on and on until a few other nobles confront the king and say, "You must stop sacrificing our royal daughters to your monstrous son. If you want him married so badly, give him a peasant girl. Then you may pursue our daughters again for your other son." The king agrees this is a good idea and selects a random peasant girl to marry Prince Lindworm. After she is told this, she runs to the old well and weeps. The old beggar woman sees her and asks, "My dear, why are you crying?" And the girl responds, "I'm being forced to marry a monster." The beggar woman's heart was touched by her sorrow, and she took pity on her. "Listen," she started, and told the girl what she was to do the day of her wedding. The time came for the peasant to become the Lindworm's bride, and when she stood beside him at the altar, she did not scream or flinch or cry. She stood resilient and said her vows, sealing their union. When they retired to their bedchambers, Prince Lindworm said, "Take off your dress." The girl responded, "If I do, you must shed a snake skin." He agreed and so shed a skin, and when she took off her dress, there was another one beneath it. "Take off your dress," he said again, and she requested he shed another skin. He agreed and shed once more, and she removed her dress only to reveal yet another. They went on and on like this for a while, he shedding skins and she removing gown after gown, until the girl had one more dress left and the prince had no more snake skin. Underneath all of those disgusting, terrifying scales was a handsome and much kinder prince. After some time, they had fallen in love, made wiser decisions, and lived happily ever after. The end.